Greetings there, my fellow repairers of Land Rovers and other things. Today is actually a bit different because I've got a motorbike to service. So I'm going to do a service on my Suzuki Bandit GSF650 2007 model. So it's the water-cooled engine with the fuel injection for anyone who really cares, because that bike is going to a new owner and I said that I would service it before they take ownership of it. So what are we going to do? Well, it's basically a bit like doing a car. So it's got some oil in our very nice sort of looking recyclable thing. One note about motorcycle oil is that it is specifically for motorcycles. You can use like car oil in it if you really want to, but most oils that aren't for motorbikes will have additives in, like to make less friction. Because this motorcycle shares its transmission oil with the engine, you need to have specific motorcycle oil. So in a Suzuki Bandit of this age, it's 10 watt 40, and you can see that it's for a 4-stroke on here. So there you go, got that. We've got an air filter, so we're going to replace that. That means we're going to take the tank off, so you'll see how to do that. And we've got a oil filter as well. And you can see here, these HiFlo filtro ones are pretty good because they're TÜV accredited, so that's a really good thing to know. So they're quality items. We're going to replace the spark plugs to make sure everything's running really nicely and smoothly. And the last thing that you'll need is the new washer or washer and sump plug, because obviously if you take the sump plug off, you need a new washer. Otherwise it could leak when you put it back. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to get on with servicing our Suzuki Bandit. Right, just going to check the chain slack while we've got it here, as well as another service item. So it should be about 20 to 30 mil of up and down movement. I'm also going to lube the chain as well. I've got some Scott oil and I'm just going to put a bit of lube on that. The good thing about a Bandit is it has this big center stand. So for doing the actual oil change, we're going to pop it on. When you're checking the chain tension, you want the bike on the side stand. One of the nice things about working on a motorbike is obviously everything's a bit easier to access. So we're going to use a 4mm hex on here. We're going to take off these side panels on both sides so we can just check our fluids are okay, because when you're doing a service, you should really check everything is okay rather than just skimping. I'm going to have to take the seat off as well. It's another thing I need to do. So I can put that somewhere safe. Then I'm going to go around the other side, do the same thing. Take this side off as well, and then we've got access to everything. You can see in here that if you just need to check the brake fluid level, you can do it through the little window, but seeing as we're servicing the bike, we're going to take things off. If you're warming the oil up, you've got to get into here for the oil filter. So these are going to be burning hot, so you want to give them a bit of time to cool off before you start trying to stick your hand in there. Otherwise it won't end well. Just going to turn the key and this pulls up on this bike, and then the seat comes off. Put that somewhere safe. Once you pulled the seat up, you've also got access to the battery and other electrical bits if you want to check them. That's the electronic control unit. And I'm going to have a little check of things like this, the coolant level as well. So once we've taken the panels off, we've got a little bit more viewing that we can do. These are just popped on. So because I'm going to take the tank off to get to the spark plugs and the air filter, it just gives you a little bit more access when you're fiddling around. Not massive, but that's the nice thing about bikes. You can take bits off of them and it doesn't take hours to put it all back together. This is the rear brake fluid reservoir, so just going to check that, make sure we're okay with that. Looking okay, other than it gets a bit corroded. This bike has been not really used much recently because I can't ride because it's too heavy for me after having a major operation. So I'm trying to sell it because I want it to go to someone that's going to use it and love it and use it a bit more than me. And then I'm going to work on my taken to pieces bike that's in the garage, and then hopefully get myself a lighter bike that I can use. Coolant reservoir is here. It's random, so it's looking a bit low, so we'll give it a little top up just to fill it up to the full line, so it's topped up and ready to go for another season. Okay, seeing as I've noticed, I'm going to give it a quick top up. It's not actually a very sort of complicated setup on so it's a bit crystally because it's been sitting around, I think, and evaporated a bit. But there's like a sort of rubber bung It's not really a properly sealed system, which is probably why it evaporates a bit. I'm going to try and get some coolant in there. It's not a good angle, is it? I have to do it very slowly. So that's full at the moment, it's just below the low mark. So I've just got to work out how to do that without spilling it everywhere. It's just ready mixed blue coolant. You see it's only a teeny tiny amount between full and empty anyway, or full and low. So just take that off, make sure it doesn't drip on anything. So we now just topped up now, so we're at the top full level. And we'll pop our little bung back on, and then make sure that's nice and tight. And there we go, we've just done that as a random job. Okay, we've got our 70mm drain plug. I'm just going to see if we can undo this. I mustn't apply too much pressure to it. Just in an aluminium block. And then I don't know. Just see this. So the headers now cooled down enough so that you can touch them. And then we're just going to pop this off and give it a little drain. Okay, so the oil here looks pretty new because I haven't ridden the bike much, but I have replaced the oil. But because I'm selling it, like I said, I'm just going to give it a full service so that it's up to spec for the buyer. So helpfully on a motorcycle engine, it actually tells you how much oil you need to put in, and then on this bike it says 3,000 millilitres, which is 3 litres, so that's very helpful, which is why motorbikes are a little bit better than cars in terms of having to top them up, because you don't have to put quite so much oil in them. The other thing about motorbikes also tend to have magnetic sump plugs, so because you've got your gears running in the oil shed of the engine, you get a little bit sheared off, or little bits of metal, you want them collected by the magnet. I don't think this is very covered in particles, again because I've changed the oil and haven't really ridden it much, but I will just, let's just have a little inspection of it. Can't really see anything on it, but what I'm just going to do is wipe it down with a piece of towel, give it a clean. That's the crushed washer at the bottom. That's what we're going to need to replace this bit here. And then that's cleaned up and it's come up nicely. I'm just going to get this little washer off. So this is the old crush washer. It's going to be too difficult to remove, might be. Right, after being a bit of a wally, I realise you can actually unthread it. It should twist up, which is what you should have done. I'm just being stupid. But there you go, that's off. So that's the old crush washer. We've got our new one here that we can use when we put it back on. So I'll probably just put that in place. Wipe around here. Make a meal out of something that didn't need to be a meal. And that's, see, when they're not crushed, they just fit straight on. And I'm pretty happy most of that's drained out. It's just dripping now, so I'm just going to give it a little wipe just to make sure it's not dirty. And then we'll just thread this back on. Otherwise we can't fill it up again. Or if we did, it would be fairly pointless. Right, we're going to tighten this up, crush the washer, and then just make sure it's suitably tight. So when the washer's crushing, you can still do it up relatively easily. Actually, I should push the oil tray away, because otherwise you can't do it. And then once it's sort of stopped, you know that you're there. You'll know because it will get more resistant, right? And you just want it sort of, you don't want it really tight because it's got the cross washer, so generally tight. And then just make sure again you wipe any oil so you're not dripping oil. What you don't want is oil to drip from here, because obviously you're riding and oil drips from here, it's going to go on your rear wheel. And on a motorbike, we know what that means. Well, I hope you do. Dangerous. Not brilliant for filming this, but basically the oil filters shouldn't be on very tight. I've got one of these nice oil filter thingies that will undo it, that attaches to a normal ratchet, sort of quarter-inch wrench, half-inch wrench. No, it's not. 3/8 of an inch. Then you just put that through and then pop it on top. So put it through, pop it on top, and then just, shouldn't be done on very tightly, and then just undo it. Just obviously move that out gently. We're going to have to make sure that we just clear up any oil that gets on anything. Otherwise we'll have a smoky exhaust. This just comes out obviously on the, what's this, the left hand side of the bike. So just take that off. Right, okay, we've done the oil filter and we've put the sump plug back with its new crush washer. So I'm just going to put some new oil in here. Obviously you're going to need a funnel. Keep your oil plug, you can have a look at that, make sure that there's nothing nasty in it, which there isn't. What I'm going to do is probably put in the like 3 or 3.5 litres, then just run the engine a little bit just to get the oil level. Well, this is a bit random. I've never had one of these before. Little Silcoline kind of eco packs. A bit like one of those wine things you get if you want to drink loads of wine in one go. So I'm just going to see what it says. It says gently push to remove. Okay, can I get it out? I see. So we've got this kind of bit in here. So that's the oil in a plastic bag. It's quite interesting. I guess we're going to slot that onto there. Don't know how you get that back in there though. Maybe I'm being stupid. Right, let's pull this out. Do that way. There's a little bit of oil in here, so I don't know that any of it has leaked, but it's just the way that they make them. I suppose you turn it up that way. Okay, so you've got a little kind of oily thing. Does it work any better? And then on the side, if you press in, you've got handles as well. There you go. So you've got a little handle, got your oil spout. Just undo that, see if I can get it undone. Try and put a little bit more oil in here because I've still got a bit more to do. Oh, just so slow these days. Right. Not so keen on this. 10 out of 10 for environmental. Not so sure about pouring at an angle like we did. When you've got a bigger spout and you've got the handle, it's just easier. But there's nothing wrong with it. I think you're just going to need a separate container to pour the oil in with. So we're going to move on to removing the fuel tank so we can get to the air filter and the spark plugs. Right, here we go. So it's not that difficult to take the tank off. We've got 10mm these tank mounting bolts here, so we can take those off. They usually need to be very tight. Let's put those into our pot so we've got nice and protected and safe and don't lose them. These are the kind of bits that once you lose them you can never buy again. So the tank is fixed here and then it slots in at the front. So it's got a little sort of lip on it. So you can withdraw it out, and once it's back a little bit you can start to lift it. Now of course underneath we've got things attached to it and there are rubber bits under here, so you want it resting on these rubber bits. There we go, I've got a nice safe place to put the tank, some cardboard, and it will rest on top of there. It'll just be kept out of the way and safe. So I've got the wiring connector here. You push down this thing and it pulls apart. Just is a bit of a pain. I don't know why. Tell me, you tell me. Okay, that's that. These are the breather ones. They're a pain to take off as well for some reason. But they will come off. They're supposed to just pull off, but of course they're being awkward. Probably just because it's a long time ago since I actually took the tank off last time. Oh, that's better. A bit of WD-40 has helped that. There you go, pulled it off. There you go. So once you push them in enough, they pop off. A little tiny bit of fuel might escape, but it's not much. Okay, now we'll get the tank very carefully moved and stored. Okay, now I've exposed this bit. The spark plugs are hiding 1, 2, 3, 4. So I think a couple of them, well, 4 down here. A couple of them are going to be easier than others. Try to keep this out of the way because it's a bit leaky, but it's just there's a bit of fuel in the pipe. It's not. I don't think it's doing anything. And I think we're going to have to just undo these so we can move this thermostat type thing around just to get access in here to this spark plug and make it easier for this one. So I'm just going to work on that. Do the air filter because that's not too difficult. There's basically 4 screws on here, nice and simple. But what you don't want to do is drop them. And then there's 2 down hidden down here on one on either side. So the 2 screws down here are actually captive, so they don't just fall off. So make sure they're undone. Pretty easy. And once you've undone that, so with that removed, you've got the air filter there. We're just going to try and pop that out if we can. Shouldn't be too difficult to remove. Okay, so it just slots back in again. Again, it's not really been much use on this one, but we're replacing it anyway because we're being good. So once you've got that off, you can see that the air filter just pops in there. Make sure it's not dirty, and the bead around the edge, this that the filter is going to locate into, isn't obstructed or really filled up with any gunk. I mean, it's not because I'm reading the bike, but it could be, I suppose. And we're just going to hopefully slide the other filter back in, the new filter. Got a new filter. Sparkling clean packet. Slide this in. Make sure it's clean and nice. Hopefully that will just slide in, locate easily. I might go around the other side because it's easier. Make sure that we're lifted up. That we're locating. Make sure it's located into the groove, which it should be, all the way around, top to bottom. And then just get this back in position so that we are on top. Make sure that it fits securely. Right, air filter change done. Getting there slowly. So I'm going to take the wiring connectors off the the spark plug, what do you call the coils that are on top. So they just push down and should gently pull out once they click, which they do. Oh yeah, I've got to take that off to get that one, but all the rest of them just come off really easily, which is great. Right, I'm going to move those to one side. And these kind of things, these need to come off in order to get access to the spark plugs. So that'll be the next fun bit. I think we're back onto the giving it a good wiggle until it pops out. There you go, that's one of them. Just got to repeat that for the rest of them, and then we've got access down into the depths to get our spark plugs. That's going to be the fun bit, isn't it? Getting your spark plugs. But we'll get there. We'll do it. So the spark plug is about the length of my finger down there. Try not to be rude. So there's one of them. I'll give these a clean up before we replace them. But as far as I know, they're all working because the bike was running. There's 2. So this thing hopefully will have a bit of movement if we take the bracket off. Just a bit awkward here. Not designed for fat fingers. That's it. It's just breaking it where it's connected onto the top of the spark plug, really. It's better. Another one out. That's quite useful. Right. So with that bracket out of the way, I've got, yeah, a good bit more access to that one. So I'll do the same thing again, just like limited access, but not so limited you can't get in. That's what I mean about, I've got like a, so you've got a bit of a, potentially you've got a bit of a movement on it. So I'm going to start on this side. Right, so that's the old spark plug, finally out on that side. It's a bit of a faff because it's not exactly a sort of given height or length. Looks generally okay, kind of browny, so probably just never been replaced. My bike's only done 14,000 miles, so it could well be the original plugs that were in there. So new spark plugs again has another crush washer on it. You don't want to be putting these on really tight. I'm going to see whether my flexi kind of handle thing might just give me a bit of an advantage. Oh, which it popped off. So I'm just going to very gently start tightening it up. And now it's not very easy to see on that side. I'll do one on the other side. Just make sure that it's going in. So that's gone in hand tight. Right, this may be easier because it's not quite so hidden. So we can get this one out. There's another one looking all right. See if we can pop the next one in. Safer to install them. Right, another one. Don't know how easy this is going to be to see because we've got to kind of partially obscure it to get this in. But once that's in, again, we're gently undoing these because it shouldn't be crazy tight. Another one. I was feeling a bit under pressure, but this is actually easier than it looked, or I thought it was when I first started doing it. So again, we're going in finger tight, making sure that we're not cross-threaded. So just slide in nicely all the way until it meets the end, and then it should be. With spark plugs, if you've done them enough, you know that you do them up gently until they kind of go in, and then you can tighten them a little bit, and then just give them a little nip so that you know that they're on. That's it, really. Just don't go mad on tightening them up. They don't really need a lot of torque. My socket's fallen into the hole upside down. Okay. Do not drop a spark plug socket in upside down into there because it's literally a pain in the bottom to remove. So I ended up putting a spark plug in it and then hooking out with a stupid hook. Ugh. Right, so next part, I've cleaned up these coils so that they are nice and coil packed, what do you call them. It's nice and clean. Put that in. I gave it a little bit of lubrication. And then I'm going to make sure it's clipped back in properly onto its connector. And hopefully we just repeat that for the rest of them. Make sure that is around the right way. Yeah, the little rubber bits come off. Okay, start again. There you go, clip. Just obviously make sure that's pushed in. Same kind of thing again. You've got this little bit of gap here that lets you put things in. So I'll put it in there. Make sure it's rotating around the right way. Make sure it clips on nice and tight. Just pop the wiring connector on. Clip. You've got to make sure, obviously you've got to make sure these are pretty good, otherwise you're going to get problems with your sparking. So that's clipped back in there and it goes around back to here. So that's in the right position now. So just going to rest it on these blocks of wood. clip under the tank, and then just going to move forward and drop down and make sure that we are locating correctly back. There you go, you can hear it going on, and then make sure that you've got it back high enough so you can locate it properly with these fixings at the back. So once you pushed it forward enough, these should be aligned with their holes inside, which they are. And that's it, we've fitted our fuel tank back on. Right, just got to pop our covers back on. Does she start? Oh, yep, sounding happy. So the spark plugs are working, engine going, hasn't blown up. So I think we've done it. Service complete.